It's hard to replicate all these great minds meeting face-to-face or in person, which is perhaps why the virtual Davos mood seems rather downbeat. Only 1 in 10 World Economic Forum members surveyed expects the global recovery to accelerate over the next 3 years, and only 1 in 6 are optimistic about the world outlook. I spoke to Saadia Zahidi, WEF Managing Director.
We have a whole week of virtual programming going on here at the Davos Agenda Week 2022, and we're looking at the state of the world as envisioned by various global leaders, including President Xi. And in addition, we are looking at a number of global challenges and how they can be solved more collectively. And that is where we have a number of public sector and private sector leaders coming together to discuss that. Later on today, we have a session on COVID-19. What's next on that front?
So what's the potential cost of inaction?
The cost of inaction is incredibly high. Not only are we talking about a cost for the planet as a whole and for the collective future of humanity, I think we can't downplay how large that existential threat is. But in addition to that, there are other major risks along the way, and that includes social strife, a lack of cohesion across our societies, major concerns, especially among youth, about what their future holds, both in the front of jobs and education, but also in terms of what kind of planet they will be inheriting. So there are a number of concerns along the way, and I think that's exactly where the cost of inaction is so high that it is really important that governments and business begin to work towards those solutions today.
What about cyber risk? Because that's something that came up in your report, something that maybe isn't given as much attention that it might.
No, it's really interesting. The top 10 concerns of the next 2 years included both a concern about cybersecurity and a concern about digital inequality. And I think that's quite an interesting concern. There's more than 3 billion people on the planet who simply don't have connectivity, who don't have access to the internet. And so there's a major concern about how will they have access to the same information and earning potential that the other half of the world does. And at the same time, for that half of the world that does have internet access, there are starting to now be many concerns about how are we going to put in place the best possible cybersecurity. And it is often those countries and those populations that are fairly new to having adopted accessibility. Those are the ones that are most at risk of cyber threats.
Big concerns, a huge list of concerns. If there is one thing that Davos 2022 could achieve, what would you like it to be?
Public-private collaboration, cooperation between governments, and focusing on science and evidence-based decisions. Those are the three things, the three key ingredients that made, for example, vaccines possible in such a short period of time across many countries. That is exactly what will take us into the future and help us mitigate these risks.